Falling in love used to be called a fall for a reason. It was about surrendering to the unknown, a messy, beautiful accident. But for Gen Z, falling in love isn't a fall, it's a project. It is a high-stakes, risk-managed operation run by a generation that has been rewired by algorithms and global instability. We are looking at a cohort that is craving deep connection more than anything. Yet they are statistically the most risk-averse generation in history. This isn't just about being shy, it's about a psychological architecture built on safety. Today, we are diving deep into the algorithmic heart of Gen Z to figure out why modern love feels so impossible. The safety mindset and the social stamina crash. Let's start with the basics. Gen Z is operating under a safety mindset. Unlike previous generations who used their teenage years to experiment, make mistakes, and get messy, Gen Z has adopted a slow life strategy. Research shows fewer Gen Zers are getting driver's licenses or having sex as teenagers compared to their parents. They are entering the adult dating market with way less social risk proficiency, meaning the awkward clumsiness of a first date feels less like a learning experience and more like a catastrophic threat to their mental stability. Then, the pandemic hit right when this generation was supposed to be learning how to flirt in person, severing their social stamina. Now, the activation energy required to actually leave the house for a date is massive. It leads to higher rates of flaking and rotting, staying in bed to conserve energy because the outside world just feels too draining. Here's where it gets nerdy but fascinating. There is a massive biological disconnect between your phone and your body. When you interact in person, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone that makes you feel safe and warm, and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. But research shows that texting doesn't trigger that oxytocin release. It just leaves your cortisol levels high. This creates a biological paradox. You might text someone all day and feel digitally intimate, sharing your deepest secrets and memes. But your nervous system is actually in a state of high alert because it lacks the sensory inputs, touch, voice, smell, to feel safe. So when you finally meet in person, that lack of chemical bonding makes the physical reality feel jarring, often triggering a sudden urge to pull away. We also can't ignore the wallet-sized elephant in the room, the dating recession. Economic anxiety is a massive libido killer. When you're worried about rent and the price of eggs, a relationship feels less like a refuge and more like an expensive liability. This has given rise to the $0 date, replacing dinner and a movie with a low-stakes walk or just hanging out. While financially smart, these walk dates strip away the ritual of romance. It turns a date into a high-intensity interview with no distractions, which is a nightmare for a socially anxious generation. Situationships, therapy speak, and the ick. To manage all this risk, we've invented a new taxonomy of relationships to avoid the scary label of commitment. Enter the situationship. It's a way to have intimacy with a psychological escape hatch. If it ends, you can tell yourself it wasn't real anyway, even though the heartbreak is just as real. And when things get too real, we weaponize therapy speak. Normal relationship friction becomes toxic, and differing opinions are gaslighting. This hypervigilance also births the ick, a sudden, visceral repulsion at something trivial, like a weird font choice or the way they run. It's often just a defense mechanism, a subconscious way to sabotage intimacy before it gets too scary. The gender divide and the hope for slow love. There's also a growing political chasm. Gen Z women are trending liberal, while many men are drifting conservative or checking out entirely. For many women, politics is now a safety issue, making a partner's worldview a deal breaker. This polarization creates hetero-pessimism, a deep disappointment with straight dating that leads to movements like boy sober. But it's not all hopeless. We are seeing a correction toward slow love. Gen Z is starting to realize the apps are broken and is looking for compatibility of nervous systems, not just vibes. They are breaking generational trauma by refusing to settle for the dysfunctional dynamics they saw in their parents. They are choosing loneliness over bad company, which is actually a form of high standards. So, is romance dead? No, but it is terrified. Gen Z is navigating love with the vocabulary of a therapist, but the nervous system of a trauma survivor. They are fighting algorithms, economics, and their own anxiety to find connection. It's a messy, cautious revolution. But in a world that feels unsafe, maybe taking it slow is the most romantic thing you can do. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you're in a situationship or if you've sworn off dating entirely. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel to keep making new videos. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you in the next one.